You know, it might not seem like it with the NBA Finals going to a Game 7, which I'm sure we're all looking forward to, but we're only about a week away from the NBA draft and less than 2 weeks away from free agency. So yeah, it's definitely coming quick. And for a team like the Lakers, that's definitely something they will be factored into. Currently owning the 55th overall draft pick, many assuming that they will or maybe should trade up for a higher draft pick or simply buy another draft pick, and then even more importantly, free agency. Maybe trying to get their backup center, maybe trying to add some more bench depth to their team, or maybe getting a steal or two. Definitely a lot to look forward to with it. And well, they're definitely getting a helping hand here from a current player on their team, that being Austin Reaves. A guy that many Laker fans seem to want to trade away or are not happy with, but he definitely is helping out the team nonetheless and kind of going on a recruiting mission at the moment. If you haven't seen yet, he was caught working out with two current free agents, one of which being Jake Laravia, a player that was traded to the Sacramento Kings from the Memphis Grizzlies, and then restricted free agent Sharpe, a guy we've talked about here on the channel and a potential good backup center or potentially starting center for a team like the Lakers if they could get him. So we'll talk about that, why they are working out together, what they have in common, and what Reaves might be doing here or may not be doing, if they would be good fits for the Lakers, if they could actually afford them, and much more. But before we get too far into it, let's quickly go over our Game 7 picks with Underdog Fantasy. And if you're a new signup, you can pick Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to have higher than 0.5 points in Game 7. So yeah, take advantage of that free pick. But then for my picks, for pick number 1, I got Tyrese Halliburton having higher than 12.5 points with a discounted pick. Then for pick number 2, I got J-Dub having higher than 18.5 points with a discounted pick as well. Then for pick number 3, I got Andrew Nembhard making at least one 3-point shot. Then I got Isaiah Hartenstein having lower than 5.5 points, as I don't think he'll play much in Game 7. Then for my 5th and final pick, I got TJ McConnell, an absolute dog out there, having higher than 9.5 points. Then to add on to our picks, we can add the extender promotion, giving ourselves a 100% profit boost. So if you want to follow along with me, or make your own picks, then be sure to check out Underdog Fantasy. And don't forget to use code JSM to get your free pick, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make a deposit. But now getting back to our topic, and like I said, Austin Reaves has been working out with and even hanging out with both Jake Laravia and Sharpe. And well, the common connection between them is the fact that they share the same agent, that being Aaron Riley of AMR Agency, the common agent by both Austin Reaves, Jake Laravia, and Sharpe, who again do happen to be free agents in regard to Laravia and Sharpe. So those three working out together in the midst of both Laravia and Sharpe entering free agency might be very telling of where they want to go or where their agent might want them to go, with the player they're currently working out with and on the team that player is currently on, that being Austin Reaves and the LA Lakers. But do the Lakers have the funds to get them? What are they projected to be paid in free agency? And what is their current free agent outlook? Well, beginning with Sharpe, as we've talked about him before, so I won't go too far in depth here. Like I said though, is a restricted free agent, and that will make it more difficult to get him, especially with the Lakers likely not being able to make a sign and trade. If LeBron would take a pay cut, then they would be able to make one. If you're not familiar with the CBA and how it affects sign and trades, you can't make a sign and trade, at least not get a player through a sign and trade, unless you're under the first apron. And while the Lakers currently are, by roughly $3.5 million, so not very much, they won't be unless LeBron takes that pay cut, or maybe some other player would take a pay cut, though it's not very likely. So apart from that, the most they could offer Sharpe would be their taxpayer mid-level exception, worth roughly $5.7 million next season, can be offered up to a 2-year contract, so it would amount to roughly 2 years, $12 million total, but I'm not sure that would be enough to pry him away from the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, maybe it would be, that would definitely be a really good get for them. I think I would prefer him over both Brook Lopez and Clint Capella, both from an age standpoint and then even a production standpoint. Maybe not quite up to Brook Lopez, maybe not quite up to Capella in regard to rebounding or being a lob threat, but with him only being 23 and still being very productive in his own right, I would be very interested in Sharpe. And well, hopefully he shares the same mutual feeling here too. Coming off a season of averaging roughly 8 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, and only 18 minutes per game, translating to roughly 14 rebounds per 36. That's on his career, 13 per 36 last season. So very impressive, absolute dog around the rim, very physical player. I often compare him to a younger version of Andre Drummond, and for good reason too. Then in regard to efficiency, shot 52.1% from the field, not bad but not great for a big, and then attempted a few 3-point shots too, knocking them down at a fairly underwhelming 24.4% clip, but I like the fact that he's not afraid to take them and is trying to develop a 3-point shot. Up until this point, has attempted 78 total 3-point shots, making 23 of them, knocking them down at a 29.5% clip, so there might be some potential here with him. Is a decent free throw shooter and actually is coming off his best free throw shooting season, shooting roughly 75% from the free throw line, and for a big man that does typically indicate shooting potential, or at least having a good soft touch. I like Day'Ron Sharpe's shooting outlook. Whether that ever comes or not, I do like it and even like what he has to currently offer as a traditional big man too. Like I said, maybe not as good of a lob threat compared to Capella, but a pretty decent lob threat in his own right. Is a good pick and roll partner, definitely knows how to get good positioning around the rim, is a very good screen setter, with his very wide frame and again physical nature, definitely can do that. Then is a decent vertical athlete, not going to call him an elite vertical athlete or an elite lob threat, but is a decent one. And then in regard to cleaning up the mess again, getting offensive rebounds and simply keeping the ball alive for your team, is very good at doing that. Averaging roughly 3 offensive rebounds in only 14.5 minutes per game on his career, translating to roughly 6 of them per 36 minutes, and that's absolutely insane. Again, kind of like a younger mini Andre Drummond, so I really do like Day'Ron Sharpe. However, unfortunately again, I kind of doubt it. I doubt the Nets let him go for only a 2-year contract worth roughly $12 million, and that is the most Lakers could offer him, barring them getting under the first apron. So unless Aaron Riley, again his current agent, somehow works some magic with him and gets him to the LA Lakers, I kind of don't see it happening. Now they definitely could revisit trying to get him at the trade deadline or maybe sometime in the future, but barring them getting under the first apron, which again is not likely without the LeBron pay cut or Rob Pelinka working some payroll magic, then it's not very likely to get him in free agency, unfortunately. But how about for Jake Laravia? Not a center, but is a pretty big forward, having measurements of 6'8", weighing roughly 235 pounds, and having roughly a 7-foot wingspan. I liked him coming out of the NBA draft back in 2022, having been a 3-year college player coming out of Wake Forest, showing some good 3-and-D potential, and he finally showed that during his 3rd year in the NBA. Up until this point, hadn't been very healthy, only playing a total of 70 games in his first 2 NBA seasons, but then came around to play 66 during the last NBA season, which again was a career high for him. And per defensive box plus minus rating, he did rank positively, having a plus 1.1 rating last season, pointing to him showing defensive improvement and a whole lot more defensive commitment, overall having a plus 0.8 value over replacement rating, a pretty good rating for a backup player and a rotation player in general, not simply being affected by the team you play with or overall production, actually pointing to being a good value player, playing above his contract salary, and that's another thing to point to here as well. What might that or what will that contract salary look going forward? What will he be offered, and do the Lakers have the ability to offer it to him? Well, that's definitely up for debate here. With him being 23, but also having an injury history and kind of some up and down inconsistent performance, it definitely is tough to project. I wouldn't be shocked to see him get roughly 8 to 10 million per year, but then all the way down to maybe 4 to 7 million per year. And depending on what he gets offered, the Lakers might be in that price range. Again, with their taxpayer mid-level exception, being able to offer him roughly 5.7 million next season, up to a 2-year contract worth 12 million. I'm not sure that'll be enough to get him, but if he is looking to take more of a prove-it deal and go to a team that he simply wants to play with and might have a decent role to offer him, that might be the intrigue here with the LA Lakers. And if they would trade Rui Hachimura, would trade a bigger wing player on their team in general, maybe Jared Vanderbilt, maybe unfortunately if they don't get Dorian Finney-Smith back, whatever it might be, then Laravia might be an option. And obviously he is friends with Austin Reaves, not only shooting around with him, but simply driving around and golfing with him too. They definitely appear to have some kind of friendship, and I imagine that probably would help him want to play with the Lakers and be a bit more willing to take their contract over a different team's contract offer if they would be fairly similar. However, while I definitely do like Jake Laravia and what he is projected to be as an NBA player, again definitely showing 3-and-D ability and 3-and-D potential, not only with the defense last season, but then shooting a career-high 42.3% from the 3-point line, roughly 2.2 attempts per game in 20 minutes per game, translating to roughly 4 attempts per 36 minutes, so not incredibly high volume but very efficient nonetheless, and being a big versatile defender, that could definitely be a good advantage to have on your team and a good player to have coming off your bench. But like I said, kind of coming down to the contract offer, and that being their only contract above a veteran minimum that they have available to offer. So if he would want to take it, should they offer it to him or a different backup center, and that kind of being the bigger position of need for them? Would you rather have Jake Laravia or potentially a guy like Brook Lopez, Clint Capella, or some other veteran free agent center on the open market? That's kind of what it comes down to here. And well, for me personally, it definitely comes down to if they make a trade for a center or not prior to free agency. I mean, if they do, then I definitely would offer that to Jake Laravia. You're not going to get a more productive, younger option for that price than Jake Laravia or potentially Sharpe, especially for a 2-year contract that's not going to happen anywhere else. So if you would take that, then offer it to him if they can make a trade for a center first. Whether that be Walker Kessler, Nick Claxton, Daniel Gafford, whatever it might be, if they can get that starting caliber center first, then I would think about it with Jake Laravia. But if they can't, then I definitely would be a bit hesitant to do it. If they can't find a center first via trade, then I think you kind of gotta offer it to a free agent center. Whether again that be Lopez, Capella, Horford, whatever veteran option would be on the open market and kind of relative to that contract, I think you probably have to go that route, unfortunately. Again, definitely like Jake Laravia, but with how badly the Lakers need a center, both a starting center and even a backup center at this point, it definitely is their biggest need by far. So to kind of sum it up here, to get Jake Laravia, the Lakers would likely have to make a trade for a center first, then offer him their taxpayer mid-level exception, as I don't believe he'd take a veteran minimum with them. That's probably what they need to do and in that pathway to get him. And then for Sharpe, unfortunately, they probably can't get him without making a sign and trade, and that would require LeBron to take a pay cut, or for them to do some massive payroll restructure to get below that first apron and then stay below it too. And overall here, while I'd love to see Austin recruiting for the team, getting the word out, playing with players of the same agent, working out with them, spending time with them, maybe pushing them to sign with the purple and gold, I'm not sure I find it incredibly likely, unfortunately. Again, simply don't have the money to offer them, at least not very likely, barring a LeBron pay cut, barring them staying under the first apron, or them making a trade for a center first and then kind of freeing up that taxpayer mid-level to offer to maybe Jake Laravia. It definitely will be difficult for them to acquire one of them, or even both of them in free agency, though I definitely like the idea of it if they could somehow pull it off here. And with all of that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about Austin working out with Jake Laravia and Sharpe? Those two being free agents and potential free agent targets for your purple and gold. Do you think they should go after them, or do you think they even can go after them realistically? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.